It does take all the time. Greetings, greetings. Can you put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me? A 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Peace and blessings, everybody. Come on in, come on in. I appreciate y'all. We got Cutting Edge in the building. Thank you for coming. All right, perfect. Thank you. Good to see you as well. Thank you, Miss Collins. Hey, y'all. Hey, Miss Chicago. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for sliding on through and checking out Miss Kimmy. I appreciate y'all. We're going to get off into it. I ain't going to belabor the point. You know how I do. Let me turn this down a little bit. Listen, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. First, I just want to say I hope everybody is good. I hope all is well. I hope everybody is being blessed, maintaining in their right state of mind, being productive, maintaining some level of peace. So I just wanted to precursor this conversation by saying peace and blessings to everybody. So let me ask y'all something. Have you ever felt like time is just like accelerating to the point where it's slipping through your fingers? I know for me, it feels like the days are feeling like hours and the weeks are feeling like days. It's like, so the truth is, if you look at it from a standpoint of just the actual time as we know it, how it has been ingrained in us, the clock really hasn't changed, but we have. And in these times, we have to ask, and I often ask, is this speeding up of life a blessing or is it a curse? And I think it's just mainly about perspective, right? We got the human perception of time. We have the incorporation of AI, technology, and the information age. We have looking for those that have some life, up under our belts, looking back versus the now. And then we do not by any means want to leave God's creation and God's word out of the equation. We're removing with God's creation versus manufactured living. And all of that goes hand in hand with a spiritual connection. So again, is it a blessing or is it a curse? Now, I want to start off with something a little disturbing. However, we have, because of the time and the world that we are living in, it's probably a lot more common than we think or that we would like to think. Maybe we personally aren't as exposed to this vantage point, but I just wanted to start off the topic with some reality of where we are now. Let's get into it, y'all.
AI is what I told you, man. They take us to hell. But on Earth, you gonna be AI.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they could like.
You ain't gonna like it. You ain't gonna like it. You gonna be like a slave. You gonna do the same thing every day, all day, every day, but without stopping this time. But one thing about humans, y'all stop too much. We get tired of that. When you AI, ain't gonna no stopping and start. Just keep going, bitch. See, everybody thought the calendar stopped in 2012, but it really stopped in 2025. The world is switching right in front of your eyes, from 3 dimension to 4 dimension. You better go good, because if you don't go good, it's over for you. The world changed the game.
Into what?
Into spiritual. Like, remember in the Bible when you walking the giants, you was walking around, people doing all the magic, it's gonna go like that. What's wrong, mama? That's what's coming here right now. Right now.
Yeah.
The change is here right now. Right now. I swear to God, mom, I'm not crazy, gang. Right now. They here. They here. You can't see them, but I can.
So listen, that was disturbing to me, but I see where we are and he sees where we are if you're looking at it from the vantage point through this carnal world that we live in. Miss Collins, I that part right there, we're gonna get off into that. Being more intentional and the perspective of how we look at time, how we view time, how time is to some it can be an illusion, to some it can be powerful, or to some it can be powerless. So I definitely agree with you, and being intentional is super important, more now than probably ever in a lot of our lives, because time does seem as if it is absolutely speeding up. So time is both physical and psychological. It's, to me, a form of stimulation, right? So the more overstimulated and routine our lives become, our daily routines become, the more our brains compress experience, right? So that can open up the door for stress, for distractions, and for living on autopilot, that these things could actually make life a blur when it's all said and done, if we are not careful, right? And so this gentleman was speaking at it on time from a dimensional perspective. Again, to me, it's more from a carnal state than it is a spiritual state, for the obvious reasons. And he is obviously experiencing time differently than some. I won't even say most, because I can't relate to how he's thinking, but based off of the way he communicated his thoughts and his perception of time, that it involved everything that I was just saying, as far as the carnal aspect coming from stress, distraction, living on autopilot, just moving in routine, out of habit, out of what's the word I'm looking for besides routine? It's just, you establish a routine, you establish something that you get up and do every day. It is absolutely something that we have to be mindful of, because we don't have the luxury of wasting time. We do not have the luxury of being, as Ms. Collins said, unintentional. We have to be intentional. And so looking at how time moves, how it manifests, what it manifests, how it affects our manifestation or lack thereof, we have to be aware of that. And only then can we make any type of adjustments. But it has to be from a perspective where we're looking at it from a positive place in order for it to be productive, in my personal opinion. Now, I want to talk about grounding for a second, because it's real easy. Like, I know for me, right? And I'm speaking strictly from my experience, especially on this topic, because it's a topic that has really kind of demanded some of my attention. Therefore, I've had to do some research, some prayer, some meditation, some conversations with people with like minds, such as myself, that can look at things from different vantage points and just try to figure out, okay, well, what works for me? What works for me, right? And so looking back versus then and now, when we're talking about technology, I grew up in a time where we didn't have technology. We had TVs, and I know I've said this before, you probably, if you're younger, you've heard this 1,000 times, but it's worth mentioning again, where we had TVs where the broadcasts, all of them cut off at midnight. It concluded with the Star Spangled Banner, and most of the time with some type of news, and then it would start back up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, start the day with the news. Now we have news stations that are going 24 hours a day. We have internet. We have social media. We have television. We have computer screens. We have iPads. A lot of us even have screens in our vehicles now when we drive, whether you can see TVs or not, whether they're manufactured by the car companies or not. Everywhere you look, there's a screen of some sort. If you think that that's not eating up our time, you're sadly mistaken. I remember there was a time where we had physical dictionary and encyclopedias, and you had to go to a library to do projects because that's where the resource center was. I mean, I remember those times, and you were classified as being not well-to-do, but okay off financially if you had an entire set of encyclopedias in your house, right? Now, we no longer have to wait for information. We no longer have to wait for results. We no longer have to wait for answers. They are absolutely instant. And AI fills every gap when you are on these screens with constant scrolling, recommendations, notifications, to the point where you have to go in on your phones and intentionally cut off notifications because every app that you have subscribed to has a tendency to pop up when there's something that they feel that you should be notified of. Talk about distractions. I don't particularly scroll up and down on like platforms like Facebook, TikTok, IG, because when I did, half of my day was gone. And I was like, what did I learn? How productive was I in my real life, in my day-to-day activities? How much did I interact with actual human beings? And in the concept of time, I can't tell you can't get that back. And a lot of that information is non-pertinent to your real life. And a lot of times it's the breeding ground for negativity. It's the breeding ground for mistruths. It's the breeding ground for false narratives, for illusions. And again, how pertinent is that to your real life? I know it didn't add much value to mine. I even have to be particularly careful with YouTube. I have gotten caught up, absolutely, for a lot longer than I would like to admit. But being intentional, like Ms. Collins said, is super important. Because the time is the one resource that you cannot retrieve, get back, go back, undo, and redo. You get one shot at utilizing that gap of time and it's gone. Before you know it, you've got 5 years gone, a year gone. I know for me, time has been accelerating for a while in my mind, in my world, in my life. Me and Miss Yo was talking, shout out to Laverne. Me and Miss Yo was talking not too long ago, and we connected at the end of the day, and she was like, we were talking about, recanting our day, what we got done. And both of us pretty much simultaneously had the same expression of, sis, it was like you blinked and the day was gone. When and how much did we get done? And we both get up early every morning. So when we connect at 8, 9 o'clock at night, that's a whole day. That's over 12 hours. I remember there was a time where when I went to school and we had recess, 30 minutes or an hour, you felt like you had some time to decompress, to play with your friends, to frolic, do whatever you do. And now you go to the bathroom and get a drink of water, 30 minutes to an hour is gone. You're trying to figure out what in the world is going on with this time. And I personally believe that AI technology and the information age have really and are really robbing us of our time. So let's go to this next little video here where this brother talks about grounding. And I just absolutely thought it was refreshing and really informative. And it kind of takes us back to the earth And that's why I love talking to Miss Yo, because most of the time when I talk to her, she out in her yard. She's out there with her pooches. She's got her hands in some dirt with her plants and her vegetation. And I have to say that I'm working on getting there, but I am not there. The way my life has been constructed, it is definitely, I have been making moves to manifest that reality in my life. But until that happens, I love just watching this show and people like her that can, and you can see the differences in their temperament, in their personalities, and their energy, right? So let's check them out.
Put y'all on game. Right now we in the hood with it, baby. We drinking on honeydew melon. I'm in the sun, eating the sun, and I'm grounding. Now the reason why I'm doing this, right? Because we in the age, and I'm not finna talk no super spiritual conscious junk. What I'm talking is real science. We in the age with the vibratory frequency of the earth is finna change. And this scientifically proven, because if you throw a ball down on top of another ball, which is hollow, you can measure the frequency to what the measurement is. So the earth do have a frequency that is measured at. Now what happening is, as the earth vibratory frequency change, people who are not in tune with it gonna die off. They the ones that's not gonna endure to the end. So in Revelation chapter 12, it talk about how a woman flew to the wilderness and the earth helped the woman. These are the ones who gonna be helped, the people who in tune with the earth. Also Proverbs 1:8 talk about listening to the instruction of your father, the heavenly father, and forsaking not the laws of your mother, because the earth have natural laws that you need to abide by as well. So keep in mind, be out here grounding. So when the earth shift, you shift with her and you don't fall off. This straight gems coming from the Most High, right? Pay attention.
Now listen, grounding slows down mental time. That is the reason I wanted to show that video, because we can talk about how time is being erased, how time is being sped up, how time is minimizing our the speed of time is minimizing our productivity. But when we're anxious, when we're distracted, and a big one with these computers, when we're overstimulated, our perception of time speeds up. And grounding, whether you're deep breathing, whether you have the bare feet on the earth, whether you're connecting with the earth through meditation, whether you're just simply focusing on your senses, it can help calm the nervous system. Our nervous systems are super overstimulated. And this parasympathetic activation, it slows the racing thoughts. It slows the time, and it feels a bit less chaotic and more spacious. I live in a beautiful area, and a lot of times I will just go out and I will walk amongst the trees and listen to the birds and become very, very intentional about just disconnecting from the everyday, even like just the confinements of my home, just to get out into some fresh air. I'm getting ready to find this video. I want y'all to see this. Give me 1 second here. Shout out to the chat. We got Miss Earth Day in the building. Welcome, sis. It's so good to see you. And if I missed anybody, I see Jay Abundance in the Sun. I love that name. I love that. That's very relative to what we're speaking on when it talks about earth and grounding. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, got it. Hold on. Now, if you aren't careful, or if your eyes, your pineal gland is calcified, you may not be able to see this. But when I saw this, I was absolutely stimulated, because what he said was true. Hold on a second. Let's go to this one real quick.
About the rain blowing. You don't care about the noise of the birds singing. You don't care about the sound of the dogs in the streets. You don't care about the smell of freshness. You don't care about how sweet a mango is. A mango is not just a mango. A mango is like telling me when I have a mango, like I am loved by somebody. That is greatness.
The connection with things that are created by God and recreated by man, like food, vegetation from the earth, the trees, the plants, anything that grows from the soil, we have a connection with. It's not just food, is what he was saying. He's not just saying it's just food. He is saying that everything is connected. And how can we know that if we are constantly disconnected? Technology, they make us feel, and they have made us very dependent upon technology, but it's to me is one of the biggest disconnectors from other humans, from life, like things in itself. Anything that has life, that provides life, that promotes life, that recirculates life. We got to be mindful of those things. Another thing that we need to do, and I have found myself doing this too, is not being present in the moment. I find myself projecting and worrying about what's possibly coming down the road instead of absolutely being present. And you know what that does? It stresses me out. It absolutely stresses me out. Most of the stress from time, I find, tends to come from being stuck either in the past, which can be associated with regret, or in the future, which projects worry. Now, when that brother grounded, he grounded, let me put him
Put
back
y'all
up
on
there.
eat in the sun, eating.
When he grounded, it pulls you back into the present moment. And time isn't so important. The concept of time isn't so important. It's no longer abstract, but now you're in the experience. This makes each moment full, more full, instead of rushing past it without noticing it. I find myself driving a little bit slower than I used to because I want to make sure I don't miss anything, especially when I'm in the country, especially when I'm in a beautiful scenic environment. I want to soak all of that in. And I find myself not being so absorbed by time. You say karmic wheel, Earth Day? You'll have to enlighten me a little bit more on that. But you know, when you talk about grounding, it also encourages the biological clock to reset. Instead of talking about time as if it's an external component, it really is internal, because it's our perception that comes from the inside that projects on how we look at time, right? Now, grounding to the earth, which also can be referred to as earthing, has been shown to help regulate circadian rhythms. And that just is logical to me. It makes sense. By connecting with the Earth's natural electromagnetic field, the body's internal clock syncs more naturally. It's more in its essence. That means you can yield better sleep, a healthier daily relationship with time. If you travel a lot, less jet lag. There's a lot of different components to what forms our perspective and our perception of time. There wasn't always clocks. The only clock that was guaranteed and consistent was the internal biological clock, but we've gotten so disconnected with what keeps us balanced and healthy from a biological standpoint And we become dependent on everything that's external on or outside of us. I know for me, every morning, I don't care what time I go to bed, and I've been to bed, especially this past year, I've been to bed all different times. I used to go 8, 9 o'clock. Sometimes I'll go 1 o'clock in the morning. It depends on what I have going on. But like clockwork, no matter what I've ate, drank, what my day looked like, what my routine looked like, I got to get up and go to the bathroom. That is my internal clock on point. It's absolutely on time. Now, let's shift a little bit. I definitely want to go to talking about, because we can't talk about time without talking about God. And moving with God's creation again versus manufactured living. We don't live in a God-filled world without working for it. At least I don't. There are certain things that are innate in me, that are instilled in me, that are foundational in me, that I can absolutely connect with. At the same time, again, I have to be intentional about that. Now, when we were talking about the rhythms and the grounding, and we're going to merge it all together, our rhythms originally matched God's creations before all of this tampering and interference. You look at the radiation, you look at all of the different screens, you look at the all of the manufactured energies. When before we had sunrise and sunset, again, like I say, when I get up at 5:30, between 5 and 5:30 every morning to go to the restroom, that's internal. And that's usually at sunrise or right on the cusp of the sun rising. But for our ancestors, sunrise and sunset ordered their days. The seasons dictates the planting, the harvesting, and the resting. When your body you ever have a cold or you don't feel well, and then you lay down to rest and you usually feel worse? There's a reason for that. When you talk about grounding and being out in nature, it gives us balance and pace. It's like a fight to have some type of a healthy balance, because most jobs are technology based now. People are sitting at desks, less people are active, less people are outside, less people engage with other human beings. We're engaging with machines. Most of us at some point of our day, if it's not our day, it's our week. I have a checkbook that I actually wrote a physical checkout the other day too. Instead of doing an online transfer or paying with an app or a debit card, I chose to write a check just to keep me from totally going digital 100% of the time. It was like a mechanism to say, you know what, I'm going to rebel a little bit. I'm just going to write a check today. Something as small as doing something manual can at least help remind us of the concept or the original concept of time. Now, we were speaking of it from a biblical standpoint. Go ahead, Ms. Collins. God controls time and we control what we do with the time He grants us. Absolutely. To me, that's synonymous with the being intentional and having the intentionality of managing the time. Absolutely, that we're being given, right? So I want to talk about this, and I'm going to let him say it for himself, because I thought this was so eloquently said, and it really refreshed my perspective, because my brain can go left sometimes and get kind of stuck there, like a little glitch. but it's always God and God's word that will bring me out. Let's listen.
Y'all notice that time is speeding up? Months are flying by like days, and years are flying by like months. And if y'all read Matthew chapter 24, it's one of the scariest books of the Bible, but it's also one of those books that I believe we're in right now. Jesus said, if things get too out of hand down here on earth, okay, this cursed earth that we live in, and the evil gets too wicked, too out of hand, that he would actually have to shorten the days and speed up time, otherwise nobody would make it through. What y'all think about that? He would actually shorten the days? Buddy, are you saying he's going to speed up the clock? That's exactly what I'm saying. We've gone through a time shift now, y'all. And I don't know exactly when it started. A lot of people say around 2010. A lot of people say COVID. That really doesn't matter. The point is, time is speeding up. So I want to give y'all a little biblical reference here, because I'm not just talking in conspiracy theories. This is Matthew chapter 24, verses 21 and 22. This is Jesus talking here now. For then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. To say those days would be shortened is actually pretty wild, ain't it? So if you're sitting there saying the weeks and the months are flying by, you're not crazy. This is actually biblical. So here's what I did. Every little experiment needs a control. I've got two boys, they're 14 and 15 years old, and I went up to them and I said, because I know for a fact when I was a teenager, the time just crawled. I'm still sitting in math class in 5th period, just waiting for that bell to be 3:30, and it just never did come. I'm still sitting there right now. Time crawled.
I can absolutely relate to that. I'm talking about anything, especially when it came to chores, anything but going outside. It seemed like it was long, it was laborious, it was drug out, and it seemed like I was clock watching. And the more I watched the clock, the slower time went. So he is absolutely right. But I have a son, and he talks about how both my sons speak on how fast the days go. But when you have the youth saying that the days are fast, when I was a youth and in my teens or preteens, even I noticed that time seemed to go a lot slower than it is now, right?
I said, boys, let me ask y'all a question. Do you feel like time has gotten faster? And instantly they're both, oh my gosh, Dad, yes. The past 2 years have absolutely flown. I don't know what's going on. Matter of fact, like, how are we in the middle of the year already in 2025? It's flying by. We don't know what's going on. We were just talking about that the other day. My 14 and 15-year-old, I never talked like this when I was that age. But God has created a time shift for our sake, is what I'm saying. And I think we're being kept from the knowledge of exactly how it's moving so fast, because I promise y'all, if I stare at a clock and I listen very specifically to the tick-tock, tick-tock, it sounds like a second should sound. I know it's not being sped up if I stare at the clock because I'm sitting there looking at it, but I promise you, we're kept from the knowledge of how it's happening, but it's happening. So I want you to remember something. The earth is cursed until we receive a new one, the one that's promised in the book of Revelation. If you're feeling misery, or if you're feeling pain, it's not because God doesn't love you. It's simply because the earth has been turned over to the devil for a time, okay? Just for a time, but that's all he gets. And that's changing very soon. I've put my entire life on it. There's 4,000 religions in the world, and there's only one that rose from the grave, and that's Jesus. And something my friend Phil Robertson told me a long time ago, God rest his soul, I'm still struggling with the fact that he passed, is if people don't believe that God can raise somebody from the dead, he said, of course you do. You know about the resurrection, you just don't understand, you just don't see it yet, because every single year you see something called springtime, all right? It's the leaves have fallen off the trees and everything is laid bare. It looks dead. It looks like it's not going to make it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, warm air comes back up. The leaves sprout. Foliage covers the entire earth. And it's a resurrection. Everything comes back. If he can do that to the earth each year, he can definitely do that to you. There's a lot of believers I'm talking to that say, I can feel the earth moving faster. I can feel time just being shortened right now. But remember, the Lord told us that we're not going to know the day or the hour. But what he did tell us is that we're going to know the season. You remember the fig tree? Read the story about the fig tree. We do know the season. I believe we're in it. I don't know what part we're in, but we're in it. So time is speeding up and the days are being shortened. I mean, Trump right now has just said Russia's got 2 weeks. 2 weeks to stand down until I don't know what's going to happen, right? I mean, he just used the word nuclear on national television just yesterday, and that should be a little disconcerting, right? The whole world, all the nations right now are turning on Israel. There's wars and rumors of wars, all this kind of stuff, and it's awesome. This is fantastic. Somebody's like, how can you talk about end times, buddy, with a big smile on your face? Because I know where I'm going, because I know I'm not a citizen of this earth, because I know exactly where I belong.
That part. That part. Now, listen, he talks about the fig tree, and the fig tree in the Bible indicates it's a sign of the season. So just like the fig tree signals a coming season, the pace of time and the rise of technology are signals to us. And when he speaks of, he knows where he's going, he knows whose he is, he understands the concept of why time seems to have sped up and is speeding up. It is to keep our suffering short. I bring this perspective because you can look at it, and I've given at least now 3 different vantage points and perspectives to view time, or that you could view time in it. You can look at it from strictly the carnal state, where you're looking at it as a dimensional act or a dimensional fragmentation of your life. You can look at it from connecting with the earth and nature, which is all interconnected, and because everything is created by God, right? With the grounding of the earth also being an expression of spirituality. And then you could also relate and connect Bible and biblical scriptures to the time that we're in as to why, again, time seems to be speeding up and accelerating in a time such as the one that we are currently in. But I do notice, like, okay, so just as the fig tree looked alive, but it bore no fruit, many of us, again, as I stated before, we're busy, we're overstimulated, we're fickle, we're easily irritable. I find myself once I go outside, I could be outside and I ain't gonna lie, there's sometimes I will go outside and I will go out because I'm irritated or irritable about something. If I'm not intentionally going out, just out of routine, which I can do better on that, right? But within 30 minutes or so, I am absolutely calm. I'm in a different mind space, in a different heart space. I'm not cognizant of everything external and on the outside of me. I'm more aware and conscientious of what's going on inside of me and the God in me that is trying to speak to me. But because I'm so busy and I'm so distracted and I'm so fickle about moving to and fro, depending on what's going on in my life at that particular time, there's a big distinction. And to recognize that is big, because you can change what you acknowledge. You can alter what you recognize, right? So the question is, based off of the time and how fast it's moving, or as fast it seems to be moving, it's easy to feel less productive. It's easy to feel, especially when you have high expectations of yourself, when you plan out your day and then you want control of that day. And then at the end of that day, you probably done knocked off 30% out of your 100% list. Now that's another reason to feel frustrated, another reason to feel irritated, another reason to doubt your abilities. Even if it's just your ability to check off things off of a list, when this is bigger than that, in my opinion. Now, at the beginning of the stream and in my title, I put, do we feel or believe that the speeding up of time is a blessing or a curse? Right? The blessing side of it, from my personal perspective, is looking at it from an efficiency perspective, looking at it as, okay, the speeding up of time is an opportunity to be intentional. And the downside of that could be, are we looking at it From the perspective, instead of the glass half full, is it half empty? So was I able to check off things on my list, everything that was on my list, or the things that I were capable and able to check off of my list, were they done thoroughly? Were they done with care? Did I help somebody? Did somebody help me? Did I serve God's purpose in any capacity of the things that I was able to accomplish? How about let's just start and can end with thanking God for one more day that we were able to get up in our right minds to be able to accomplish anything with sanity, with grace, with mindfulness, with being intentional. And again, did you help somebody? Did you assist somebody? Did you show somebody some love? Did you emulate and represent God in a good way? Or were you just doing it because that's what you're used to doing? Or because you're in competition with yourself, or you're in competition with other people? I know there was a time in my life where I felt like I just wanted to be there for me, because I felt like I had overextended myself for so many other people that did not appreciate me. But what I did instead eventually learned that I changed my people, my places, and my things. And instead of seeking out people to do for, I attracted people that would appreciate me. And whatever I did from the heart. And at the end of the day, guess what? I felt so relieved. I felt accomplished. I felt as if there was nothing that could bring me down. Very high energy and vibrational. Nothing could disappoint me at that point. Nothing could make me feel in a negative light. I know I'm shifting a little bit, but it's on my heart, so I'm going to say it. If you receive it, you receive it. But all of this goes back to this being bigger than us. But what is your perspective on it? You can't control it. You can't control anything but what you're doing. You can't control anything but how you respond or a lack of response to something. So what do? Perspective gets the ball rolling. How you looking at it gets the ball rolling. It's the stimulant on how you respond. Now, we talked a little bit about the blessing aspect. So it could be a curse, and for many it is. When you speak of time being full of distractions, social media, technology, TV, not staying on task, being disconnected. When you look at, just like what this man said, when you speak on the prophecy of shortened days. But if you understand why prophetically we are in the time that we are in from a biblical standpoint, it should give you some insight. Now, the fig tree reminds me, and what I get from the story of the fig tree is that God is looking for fruit, not just the leaves. Now, the fast pace of time, like many other things, I also look at it as being a test. What do you do with your time? How do you spend your time? How do you utilize your time? What you reap, you will sow. What you put in, you will get in return. The question that I have is, will I, Miss Akemi, use it wisely? Will I do it wisely? When you look at your life right now, and I'm speaking to my chat and those, and it doesn't have to be something that you engage in. If you don't want to type in the chat, you don't have to. This is just a question to pose, food for thought. When you look at your life right now, are you living your life like the fig tree, which is full of leaves but no fruit? Or are you bearing fruit in this season of accelerated time? Is it so much about getting an answer as to why time is speeding up more than it is for whatever reason it is where we are currently? What do we do with it? What do we do with it? And if we are bearing fruit, what kind of fruit? Figs sprout off of a fig tree. But if a strawberry was to sprout off of a fig tree, what would that look like? Translating that into a person's life. If we are doing 95% and we are living our lives 95% one way, and then 5% of that way is in contradiction to the 95%, at the end of the day, what would that look like for you? So when we talk about time moving faster, it's more than just modern life involving everything that we've discussed and spoke of as far as technology, distractions, being fickle. Technology, prophecy, signs of the season. Time is short. Will we treat this acceleration as a blessing to prepare and bear fruit? Or will it be a curse that distracts us until the season passes us by? I miss this. Thank you so much, Cutting Edge, for the gifted membership. Where did it go? We appreciate you. Thank you so very much. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your constant support. For everybody that's in the chat, let me go back up. I don't want to miss anybody, but it's possible. We got V in the building. Thank you so much. If you are still here, we appreciate your presence as always. And there is one more video. And again, I think this live has been more about me than coming from a place of personal, but I just wanted to show things in little clips that resonated with my spirit, in the form of the here and now versus projecting in the future, anticipating what could be coming down the road, and having regrets of the past. Let's listen real quick, and then we're going to close and get up on out of here.
I don't know how many times I'm actually going to say this in my lifetime, so I'm just going to say it every time it comes to my mind. I am not in any rush or on any path to generate a grossly large amount of funds. Monetary capital? No. And if you are still at a point in your life where having physical money is your main goal, please let me enlighten you and bring you further than what your current aspirations expectations are. Things are going to shift. The system that has been created that revolves around money and attention is going to crack. It's time to start growing our own food. It's time to start doing community sewing classes. It's time to start taking herbal medicine classes. It's time to start studying botany. It's time to start learning midwifery and doula services. It's time to start thinking about family structures so that we all can make it. Those people that currently have large audiences that use it to entertain and make jokes, that's cool. That's great. I want you all to be able to recognize my face and my voice as someone that is always going to have your best interest at heart. So that when I say it's time to go, it's time to start planning, it's time to organize, we can get to it.
Listen, I needed that because we live in a very materialistic society, and people tend to be judged, and they tend to be their level of respect given by how much they have. Self-sufficiency to me is like gold. And money, especially if we are still going to continue to go on the trajectory that we have been on with this crypto, with this digital, with this cashless society, which if you look around, unless you've just been totally asleep, there are steps gradually and not so gradual that are being taken, laws that are being passed, bills that are being pushed through that will ultimately replace the monetary system as we know it. We are in a time where systems are very unstable. We've got food shortages. We've got economic uncertainty. We got people losing their jobs, all these different layoffs. We have technology controlling our attention. Self-sufficiency is a way of reclaiming that control. And though money can be used as a resource to help become self-sufficient, it is not the all be all of your peace. Being able to grow some of your own food, even if it's just herbs in a windowsill. Learning skills that reduce the reliance on fragile systems is super important. And I'm preaching this. I've been doing content creation almost 2 years. And one thing that I keep talking about over and over and keep going to no matter what else I'm talking about is family, building strong family and community bonds. We can't do this alone, y'all. We can't do it alone. We have to focus on the right stuff. A good source of practice or a good method to use when you go to make a big decision is to ask yourself, am I going to need this in 6 months? Are the people connected to me that I love, people that I'm responsible for, are they going to be able to benefit from this in a year? To me, that helps keep things in their proper perspective as to their level of importance in the scheme of community building. You're going to have to trust somebody. Not going to be able to do this by yourself. And that's all I got, y'all. I know that's a lot, but that's what I got. I appreciate y'all. I really do. I knew, like I say, this has been on my mind, and I've been wanting to come in on it and speak on it for a while now, because I know it can get scary. I know it can get uncertain. And everything, it seems to really, most things seem to be uncertain at this point. So if we have some type of concept of stability in our mind, our soul, our spirit, when it comes to what we can control, because time we can't, no matter how we look at it, no matter how we view it, I think it would make us more, again, intentional, benefit more, and have more outcomes, more positive outcomes, not just for us, but for those that are connected to us. I appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Collins. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here and engaging, sis. I really do. It's good to see y'all. I love y'all. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see y'all soon. Have a great one. Peace.